Next segment we're going to cover here. I think we have time for a couple hot topics. What do you say, Josh?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. We haven't been able to do hot topics very much lately. We're very busy. But okay, so the first one, Vitalik Buterin has an NFT collection. Quadratic funding drop pulls in millions. So the NFT collection, which celebrates Ethereum creator Vitalik Buterin's contributions to a popular Web3 funding model, was created by Meta Label in collaboration with Web3 funding platform Gitcoin. The open edition mint launched on March 1, but NFT traders may have missed the memo before today when secondary sales suddenly ripped following the end of the initial sale period. And I don't know if that article, people will be listening at a later date, but recently, right, this happened. Josh, had you heard about this? What do you think?
So I didn't know about this, but it's super cool. Vitalik, poor Vitalik, he's been brought into so many sort of meme coin projects, and people throw these things in his wallet that he has no sort of knowledge or association with. It's actually quite cool to see him get out there and do something on his own to sort of move the industry forward. I'm excited to check out this collection.
Yeah, how about you, Linda? What do you think? Is this something that that you're going to go grab or pay much attention to, or what do you think?
Yeah, no, I think I think there's definitely I'm fascinated with the intersection between NFTs and governance, and this is in this case, the funding of public goods. So I think there's potential. I'm just not sure the type of because obviously Vitalik is involved and everyone is involved, this has been seen more as another amazing opportunity to come in and and create value, but actually the intention is about, so I'm not sure how the intention was kind of really fully realized by the people that have really got pulled into it right away, right? So we'll see kind of what the impact of this will be kind of in the long term, but in general I think there's definitely potentials in quadratic funding, and again the intersection of Web3 and governance. So
yeah. Anything else, guys? Should we move on from that one? You want to cover another one, Josh?
Sure. Let's do it.
Let's do a Yuga Labs one here. Why Yuga Labs embrace of Bitcoin NFTs. Actually, we haven't had too much time to talk about Bitcoin NFTs and ordinals here, so this is good. Is a big deal. It couldn't be a more interesting time. Bitcoin Yuga Labs, the $4 billion company behind the Bored Ape Yacht Club non-fungible token series, generated $16.5 million from its first NFT auction using the ordinals protocol on Bitcoin. These 288 NFTs, part of a collection called 12-fold, created shockwaves for the crypto community on Tuesday. The company announced its plans to launch the project last week, a move that should not be understated. Well, it's all over the place. I'm hearing about ordinals, and we were asked about it, you and me, Josh, on a Twitter space yesterday, kind of what we think about what's going on there, and how it might be a part of Outer Edge and things like that. Have you gotten ordinal yet? I certainly don't.
I have not had time. I've been so focused on the Outer Edge in just a few weeks, but I did go to an ordinals meetup at ETH Denver, and learned a lot about sort of this unique immutability component that has to do with sort of inscriptions. And I think one of the more interesting elements of the CoinDesk article is that the Ordinals project has tipped the number of non-zero Bitcoin addresses to an all-time high of 44 million, which is really interesting. And certainly we've seen in the past that Yuga is definitely a beacon of future innovation for the industry. It's really hard to deny paying attention to anything that Yuga does, and what kind of breadcrumb trail may sort of be created as a result of that. So I think we'll see other major players jump into this particularly nascent area. Of course, there's going to be some Bitcoin maximalists that aren't as happy about what's going on here. But when we're talking about immutability, it is very cool what's possible with the Ordinals project.
Yes. Yeah. And I was just listening to some podcasting earlier today about folks who were earlier on board with Bitcoin, and kind of building the first ways to buy with cash, and get involved in it. And it's fascinating to think back of those times and think how small the community was, how kind of like ragtag all of these things were, to buy Bitcoin, you had to like wire money, to another country. Right. And like you'd be paying wire fees and all this stuff just to get like a few Bitcoin, which are worth a ton now. But like at the moment, it was a lot of around principles, right? And people's beliefs about the future. And, I'm sure not only did other people think they were crazy, but there weren't that many of them. Right. So it's hard to maintain that level of commitment. And so it's interesting to see, more developing on top of Bitcoin, the staying power of Bitcoin and so forth. Linda, did you have something to share?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's more about just like leveraging each ecosystem value and their almost like community base, right? Like that's why I think a lot of these projects are going multi-chain because collectors and holders have their own assets on those protocols. And of course, they don't want to divest, maybe depending on like what time they buy it. And so, of course, also like everything new and native, it's always going to have a so-called historic value, right? But I think it's more about different projects trying to tap into new community growth tactics, right? Than that is the underlying, core of this initiative. So
yeah.
I think it's mostly that.
That did come up yesterday when Josh and I were talking about how the communities vary, right, between the different types of NFTs, and they had their personality.
Exactly, right. Like each ecosystem has its own adopter with their own kind of like values and beliefs, and so I think it's interesting to see how projects that maybe started on one protocols are shifting around and creating more almost like protocol specific initiative to tap into those new community segments that they might want to attract to.